both wandering all over this room. Maybe I'll say what you're needing. You won't take back your pleading, and this sun will shine bright. Tell me your story. When that keeps me falling asleep in your room. Maybe our hearts will stop mourning, 'cause tragedy's boring now that I found you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. Same time every single week of every single Tuesday and Friday with your boy LNobbins. How are we all doing this evening? Which isn't an evening, it's the afternoon. I don't know why I said that. In today's installment, there are many things to discuss. There is the Guéhi situation. Semenyo had a good game yesterday against. It is 2 p.m. It's always Touchline Talk at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. It's been this way for over a year, I feel like, every single Tuesday at 2, so don't you worry, we're always here at that time. Good morning for the Australians, yes indeed. Yeah, so there's lots to talk about. There's Guéhi, there's which is like come more to the fore. I don't think we've had a dedicated installment for that conversation. I think we've spoken about it in passing, but I don't know if we've ever actually had a proper chat about it. So maybe we can do that today, see like what we think about the signing. Like, is it something that we like the idea of? Do we think it's actually going to be happening? And so on and so on. Was Touchline Talk over a year ago? Well, no, there was a very specific time or period when I set it to be at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays. I feel like it wasn't this season. I felt like it was last season as well. So it's been a minute since this was the case. I feel like it has been going on for over a year or so. Might be wrong on that, but there we go. Leave a like on the video as you're coming in. It's free. We're also going to do the Brentford preview. There's not going to be like a tactical preview for the Brentford game because it's only the League Cup. So don't expect a standalone upload for that. So we can definitely chat about the Brentford match today and basically who do we think is going to be playing, because it's an ideal time for rotation, but lots of the players that we would like to see play are either not available due to injury or because they are away at AFCON. So it's going to be a thing. You guys are saying, have I seen the docu-news? No, I've not. What is... where is this? Where is this? Where has this been stated? Where's this been confirmed? Has Pep Guardiola said this? Where am I looking? Is this on City Extra? Oh, Christ. Jeremy Doku will be sidelined for up to 3 weeks due to a leg injury, Guardiola has confirmed. Jeremy is out versus Brentford. Jeremy out, Stones out, Rodri out. The rest, I think, will be ready. I don't know exactly when Doku will return. Maybe, I think... New Year, Sunderland, maybe, to be sure. Okay, this is bad. That's very frustrating. I guess we'll have to talk about that as well then, won't we? Because that's an unavoidable thing. That's a breaking development. Obviously, Doku's also injured. Right, yeah, so... Doku doesn't have the best injury record. I'm just going to look it up. In fact, I'm going to look it up on my... computer, and we're going to have a look at it together, just because I feel like every single season he gets like a muscle injury which sidelines him for like a month or so, and it's very upsetting because he is such a lovely player, isn't he? But it's a bit frustrating if I'm not making shit up. Let's have a little look, see. Let's bring this up on the screen. Okay. There we go. Right. So what we saying here? What we saying? So last season he missed. Oh my God. Last season he missed 50 collective days from injury. So that's a big injury, obviously. So he did his hamstring, then a quote unknown injury. You can assume that's linked to it, though. So he missed a good number of games last season. The season before that, 23-24, yeah, you're looking at nearly 40 days again. So 9 games he missed for City in 23-24. I don't know how many he would have missed collectively for City in 24-25, but it might be like close to 10. So close to 10 2 seasons running in that sense. And then even at Rennes, 22-23, missed more than 10 games. 21-22, missed more than 10 games. Oh my God, look at how many games he missed in 21-22. Jesus Christ. How long was he out for there? Yeah, this was something that I did address in my analysis video that, he does have a bit of a questionable injury record, and unfortunately it looks like it's going to be happening again. So it looks like he's going to miss like around a month out by the sound of it, because he says 3 weeks, but then you also need some recovery time as well to get back to full strength. So it may well be another month that he is out. Yeah, so we've got hamstring, knee, hamstring, calf, muscle, dead leg, hamstring, muscle, hamstring. And he just said leg, didn't he? So I don't think we have any I don't think... Can someone please confirm, did Guardiola go into more detail about the injury? Like, as for the specifics? I probably should have watched the press conference, shouldn't I? I totally forgot. I don't think it specifically says, just a sideline due to a leg injury. That could be a recurring knee injury. It could be a recurring hamstring injury. We don't know, but unfortunately, I guess you can never really predict injuries. But I guess with Doku, it is to be expected a little bit more, because he always does seem to pick up one of these. So this is very frustrating and concerning. Yeah, there's no specifics, Thomas. Thank you for confirming. We can maybe take an educated guess that it would be something like that. Right, well, I was going to start talking about Guéhi this stream, but I guess we've got to talk about Doku, haven't we? And, like, how does that impact City? AFCON couldn't have happened at a worse time then, really, because we'd probably just be saying, exactly, snap figure, we'd probably just be saying, and a penny, obviously a penny for the thoughts of Doku, because it's horrible for him to pick up the injury, but also, how awful must Marmoush be feeling just as a consequence of that, because he's not been playing, because Doku has been so good. And then, out of nowhere, Doku gets injured for seemingly a month, and in that month, Marmoush isn't going to be here to even take advantage of the injury. So that's a massive shame for him. It's really bad timing. Like, if Doku could have got injured after AFCON, after Marmoush ran up a bit of form for Egypt, that would have been really cute. Unfortunately, that's very frustrating. So I guess I don't know what that means for us, because, I mean, Semenyo is also in the title of this video. So does that mean that City will even more so hit the Semenyo button? Because you're going to be... Because if Doku's like just coming back from injury, maybe he picks up another that provides another avenue for him to play on the left in Doku's stead. But more of a short-term scenario, what does that actually mean in the short term? Because we've lost what we would assume are our two best nominal left-wing options, haven't we? And yeah, it's either going to have to be Savio on the left, and you guys know I'm not a fan of that, or Foden's going to have to be sacrificed, isn't he? And he's going to have to be played more so in that position, which is great for Reinders, because it means that he's going to get more game time. But it's not good for the whole squad as overall, because we know that Foden's better when he's not being played there. So I don't think there's a great solution. There's not a great solution either way, is there, really? It may well just be as simple as, well, we do what we did against Palace, and we play Foden in that position where he's a bit more advanced. You guys know I'm not a fan of that anymore. Or do we just stick Savio there and just like replace him for Doku? But that's not particularly good either, because if the idea would be to try to do like a straight swap for what Doku offers in that area of the pitch, Savio isn't going to offer that, because he doesn't like to, or he's not as useful when drifting inside, is he? He's someone who you want to be an outlet, and you want him to stay out wide. So he couldn't really fulfill the same dynamic with O'Reilly that Doku would. Maybe the answer was what we saw in the Palace game, where Foden did play off the left, and we assumed that, well, we had thoughts about it before kickoff, didn't we? We were saying, could it be Shirky left and Foden right? Could like Shirky just replace what Doku offered? But the fact that Pep hasn't played him there once yet, apart from when he came on against Everton, in fairness, outside of that, he's just been sticking with Shirky coming in centrally off the right. So will he perhaps just stick with Foden there? It's a massive shame. It means that we're going to be less solid in the midfield as well. Foden's obviously nowhere near as good as Doku in those areas as well. And it does mean that we lose Foden's ability from deep. So there's a big domino effect here of Doku not being present. And even if we do say, okay, that just get Semenyo, I don't even know if that's... I don't even know how much help... I don't know how much help that is going to be, because how many games... Let's say we even sign Semenyo as early as like the first week in January. That doesn't really help us for any of the December games, does it? So how many, or rather which games is it he's going to miss? Well, obviously he's not going to be here for Brentford, and he won't be here for West Ham, but I wouldn't have played him there anyway. I wouldn't have played him in those games anyway. The Forest away game is a massive miss. That is horrendous to not have Doku available for that. That's so bad. The Sunderland away game as well, 1st of Jan. That's a horrible game for him to miss. Vile behaviour. And if we're being realistic, even if he signs Semenyo very early in the transfer window, he's still not going to be up and running and able to play for City until you'd guess like maybe, I don't know, like... I don't even know, because it's not going to be the 1st of January that it happens, is it? Is that when the window officially opens? I don't even know anymore. You'd think, like, he's going to miss the Chelsea game as well, is basically what I'm saying. Even if you sign him on the 1st of Jan, he wouldn't be up and running for the 4th of Jan, ready to go, would he? So you'd say the absolute earliest he would be able to play, if we did indeed sign him, would be the Brighton game at home, at which point, according to Pep, that's around when Doku's coming back anyway. Because if he said 3 weeks, 3 weeks from now would be the Brighton game. So unfortunately, I've just talked myself out of that. Even if you did bring in Semenyo with the idea of trying to escalate it because of Doku's injury, certainly in the short term, it doesn't actually make much of a difference, because according to the timeline, Doku is going to be available by the time that, at the earliest time, Semenyo would actually be available. So I don't even know how relevant that is, unless there's a fear that what if it happens again, and as we've just illustrated here, if you're just tuning into the stream now, you'll have missed this. He's unfortunately illustrating a very consistent injury-prone record here. 21-22, missed loads of games. 22-23, missed over 10 games. 23-24, missed around 10 games. 24-25, missed around 10 games. He may well miss, how many would this be? 1, 2, well, I guess we can technically include the Palace game as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6, maybe even more. And that's with the best case scenario. It may well be he's not actually up and running until like the Exeter game, which is on the 10th of Jan. That might be a nice game to ease him back into. So I don't actually know what that injury means for the... I don't know if that injury actually does have any direct causal relevance to Semenyo, just because of the timeline. It may well be more of a longer term thing, but either way, that's not the way I wanted to start the stream. I wanted us to speak about Guéhi and what we felt the impact that might be on the other centre-backs, and whether we thought that the squad cohesion would still be fine. And I'm having to talk about a Doku injury, which is very, very upsetting and annoying, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to have a direct relevance to Semenyo. I don't know if it's something that pushes City to commit to the signing. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that whether Doku is injured or not, I don't think it escalates it or de-escalates it regardless. I think that if City sign him, then they would have signed him regardless of the Doku injury. If they don't sign him and Doku becomes available, you see what I mean? I don't know if they're causally relevant to one another. I don't think so. Anyway, I might be well off there, but it doesn't seem that's going to be the case. The only other example I can really try to equate it to was when we was when we tried to bring in Mahrez in early 2018. And I think that was because Leroy Sané got a big injury around that time. I think he got injured against Neil Warnock's Cardiff, if memory serves. And we were looking at bringing in Mahrez. And the whole talk at the time was, oh, look at City. They get a small injury and look, they're immediately trying to splash the cash on Mahrez. But we signed Mahrez a few months down the line anyway. So it wasn't really, we were going to sign Mahrez anyway. We just sort of escalated it because of the injury. So I don't know if this is, do you see what I mean? Based on precedent, I don't think City are going to rush and sign a winger just for the sake of it, just because there's a little injury. If we do sign him, I think we would have signed him anyway. So I actually don't know. I've spoken myself out of it, talked myself out of it. I don't know how relevant the two are necessarily. But what do you guys reckon about the whole Doku situation? Let me know. I've heard of Sangara. Yes, Laksh. Yes. Just in time to catch the stream. Big up to you, Fireborn. He's apparently out for 3 weeks. Vic is apparently out for 3 weeks. I don't think City will buy Guéhi. Will get into that. Absolutely. Bob can stay to be a rotation player. He can always be called by Norway. Doesn't really have to be getting minutes, hoping he can be called. McAtee. Forest's going to be tough without Doku, 100%. There's a fair few fixtures there that are going to be tough without him. Yeah, Forest, Sunderland especially, are going to be really not nice. I wouldn't have played him for Brentford and West Ham anyway. I would have given him a rest. But, yeah, the Forest game, that's going to be horror. Sunderland game, that's going to be horror. Probably even the Chelsea game at home, he would have been such a valuable asset, but it looks like he's going to miss those 3 games and then maybe be available for Brighton and hopefully available for Exeter. 3 weeks strong New Year start versus Sunderland. I don't know if they do. I don't know if I think that they are connected. I know this is such a shame. Yeah, we don't need to panic buy. We shouldn't panic buy. I think Nunes and Semenyo would pair up well down the right. I don't know if we spoke about Semenyo in that much detail or if I just did like a member-only video on it. But here's like the long and short of the Semenyo situation, because we're talking about Semenyo now in the context of Doku, and then we'll get on to Guéhi in a second. So let's first of all chat about Semenyo. What sort of player is he? I'd like to get a poll first of all. I would like to get a poll. And when answering this question in the chat, please, everyone, I do not want you to be prejudiced as to the Doku situation. I want you to pretend and imagine that the Doku situation and the Semenyo situation are not related to one another. So if you say yes, I don't want your reasoning to be yes because Doku's injured. I want it to be like yes because I like him as a player, or no because I don't like him as a player. Do you see what I mean? So try to not, I know it's hard, but try to not think about the context of the Doku injury in this answer. What you saying is going to be the poll question, and I'm going to go Semen yes or Semen no. Yeah? Because I'm so hilarious and funny. Are you Semen yes or are you Semen no? Guys, answer in the chat right now, and do not think about the doc. I just want to get an idea of what the chat thinks. I've seen some mixed reception. I've seen some mixed responses. Some people are well happy about him. Some people are dead against him. I don't really understand either camp, in all honesty. But are you a Semen yes or are you a Semen no? Hello, Sebastian. I don't see a need for Semenyo. It's a shiny new toy, says Sebastian. Hello. Yeah, Fenway, that's the point. Yeah? Come on, guys. Can we not have some fun? It's a good time had by all. It's a good time had by all. That means his name is Semenyo, which is even better. Yeah, where else are you going to get this? Where else are you going to get this question posed on YouTube? If you tell me the channel where this gets posed, then I will deactivate. I'll deactivate right now, but I don't think you can find it, yeah? I don't think that you can find it, so exclusive member content. Oh gosh, so interesting. It's 57% saying yes, 43% saying no. It's quite It is quite split then. It is quite split. So we're probably looking to around 60-40. So it's nowhere near one way or the other. In fairness, it ain't happening. Nah, guys, you ain't. These are some L shouts. You ain't. Pull up the stream where that's been said, and then I'll deactivate. Yeah, you can't. You can't. If you're coming into the stream right now, do make sure you vote on the poll. So here's what I think about. Here's what I think about Semenyo, because I don't think I've properly gone into a full amount of detail outside of the member video. If you remember, you'll have already seen the video, so you'll know my thoughts on this. The first thing to say is that I think that he is a good player. He's homegrown. He's not going to AFCON. He can play left and right. And he doesn't mind playing left or right either. Like, he's more than happy to do both. He's capable of playing down the middle. He's a really good physical outlet. So if we have Doku on the left as an outlet, let's say, we don't really have that profile of player who can play off the right. Semenyo can be that guy. He's very good in the air as well. I don't know how tall he is exactly, but he's not a short lad at all. In fact, I think he's quite tall. I don't know what his exact height is. Wikipedia says he's 6'1", so he's a tall lad. He's strong. So if we think about how we have to hoof the ball up a lot more now because we have Donnarumma in goal, right now the ball is only going to Haaland, isn't it? Because he's the only tall player in that front line. You don't want to, and Haaland has to pull out wide. Often we lose the ball, don't we? So having another tall outlet who can do that is very, very good. He's got very strong aerial numbers. Another number that he excels in, and let me just pop this on the screen because this may be the main reason why City are actually going for him. Now I know that defensive data isn't really particularly useful in isolation in a vacuum because that normally tells you more so about the structure and playing style of a team rather than how good a player is. So, for example, this centre-back's better than that centre-back because they do more tackles. No, that just tells me that that one team tackles more than the other, is more defensively minded than the other. So, caveat all of that with this I'm about to put on the screen, but there is no doubt that his defensive numbers are very impressive. There is no doubt about that. Like, this is pretty insane for a wide player, and I'll repeat, this perhaps tells us more about Bournemouth's play style than it does Semenyo as a defensive player. But at the end of the day, he still does engage in a lot of defensive actions. And whenever you see those really useful metrics, as for running data and for pressures and for distance covered, etc., and like variety of distance, like, so yeah, space eating, Semenyo is also up there for all of that stuff. So I wonder whether the notion of the signing is more so to do with his off-ball work rather than actually more so his on-ball, which sounds a bit mad because, like, why signing a winger for his off-ball work? I'm not saying that's the main reason, but I think it could be, if City do end up going for it. I do think that could be one of the most important factors in it. Because, to be frank, our attack's fine. Our attack's more than good enough. We are the league's leading goal scorers by a fair margin. So I don't think we actually need to sign an attacker whose primary responsibility is to just be an attacker. Does that make sense? Whereas, if you're signing an attacker, and in addition to them improving the offense, which I'll get into, this is also a really good aspect of signing that player. Savio is good at, like, pressing and work rate and whatnot. I would no idea what his actual numbers are either direct defensive numbers, that's all. So this could well be a thing. And I do think that normally, like, I think that I would, like, par off aerials one as okay, whatever, who cares? If we had Edison in goal, I'd be like, yeah, who cares? But now that we have a far less reliable outball from goal kicks, the aerials one being in the top 2%, that does actually make quite a big difference for City, because now Haaland doesn't have to pin himself on the left back. You can have Semenyo pinning the opposition left back or left wing back, whatever, and then it asks 2 questions of the opponent, because we know that Donnarumma's kicking isn't especially accurate. So if he does aim for Haaland centrally and it goes a bit wayward to whoever our right winger is, instead of going to Shirky or Savio and we're like, oh my god, they're not going to be able to do anything with this, are they? Now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if it goes a little bit more wayward because we have a better player in the air. So I think that this signing perfectly complements our goalkeeper, and that's a weird thing to say, you know, a right winger complementing a goalkeeper. I do think this signing does matter, in the same way that I feel like if you signed an Anderson, that would complement our goalkeeper more so than like a Reinders, let's say. So I can see a lot of sense in the signing, and I think it does make a lot of sense, 100%. Here's like a potential, I don't know if it's like a negative, but it's something to note. It's something to note. And maybe this is fine. Maybe this is fine. Because you do like different profiles of wide player, don't you? But it is worth noting that Semenyo isn't an especially good creative force. That's not just like the assist numbers, that's just in general. He's not much of a creator for others. He's far more of a goal scorer in his own right. There are positives to that, there are negatives to that. What are the positives, first of all? Well, how many times last season were we saying we don't have enough shooters in the side? We were saying that Haaland's a shooter, Foden's a shooter. I guess technically Kovacic was a shooter last season, but that wasn't really a thing. We were limited, essentially, as for... I'm sure I'm missing someone there. But... yeah, we signed Marmoush, didn't we? And he was a shooter, but we started the season without him. We signed him, he was a shooter, which is nice. So maybe we don't have enough shooters in the squad. Now, we have added Reinders to that, and he is a shooter. We have added Shirky to that, and I believe that he is a shooter. Even though he's more of a creator, he is still a shooter, definitely. We just haven't maybe yet seen Reinders in his final form yet. So that's a good thing, because Semenyo is a shooter. He's a goal scorer. That's good. That's a positive. Lovely, lovely. But what's the other side of that coin, which is a potential negative? Is that the responsibility of our wide players isn't necessarily to even be that player, because we have Haaland who exists. So it is better for our wide players. So the argument could be, and why it might be a negative, is it's better for our wide players to be more so focused on creating than it is to be shooting themselves. So I can see both sides of the argument. So I think that if we did sign Semenyo, great, because from the offensive POV, because he is that sort of player. Potential negative, as for what he is right now, he's not that creative, and I think he would absolutely have to improve in that sense. He would have to add that to his arsenal to, I think, to succeed as a long-term starter in the City side, and you would have to appreciate that, okay, it's fine that you can still retain your goal scoring sometimes, but you are going to have to add that to your game in order to properly coexist in the side, because at the end of the day, we have the best number 9 in the world, and the key should be to create for him rather than score yourself. So I can definitely see both arguments, 100%. And I'm not against the signing by any means. I'm not massively thrilled by it, but I think it could be a really nice signing, 100%. We did a stream last week or the week before where we spoke about what is the knock-on effect for the rest of the squad. And I think my conclusion was that obviously at least one player has to go. It may well even be 2. On the topic of shooters, if Semenyo does come in and he does succeed and he is able to be this versatile forward who can play off the left and he can play off the right and he can even sometimes fill in centrally, I have no idea where that leaves Marmoush. I think that basically says that his career is done at City, which is very sad because I'm a big fan of Marmoush, but that might be a thing. That's more of a medium-term thing. Short-term, 100% Bob or Savio goes. There's surely no doubt in my brain about that, because you got way too many bodies they're in. So short term, it's 1 in, 1 out. Medium term, it may well be one step further, and it may well be that Marmoush has to go, because lots of people are comparing Semenyo to Savio, comparing him to Bob, but I think they're just, to be fair, I think they're just comparing him as for bodies, and that's reasonable because there's only so many minutes that can go round. But essentially, like, what we concluded from that member-only video was that Savio and Semenyo are nothing alike at all. So I appreciate that people are going, but is Semenyo going to come in to replace Savio because they can both play on both sides and they're both touchline wingers? But as for the type of player they aren't that similar outside of them being touchline wingers. So Semenyo is sort of like, I'm going to say that Semenyo is like a mix between, just to try to simplify it, even though I don't think they are really similar profiles at all. He's sort of in between a Savio and a Marmoush, where he can play both wings like Savio. He can be a touchline player like Savio, but he's also more of a direct goal threat than a creator like Marmoush. So even though I don't think they are necessarily that similar as for profile, I don't think they can be compared that similarly at all. You can maybe gather traits from a couple of City's players and combine them into what Semenyo is. There was something that I wanted to show you, just because we did this on the member video, and it is an interesting thing to look at. Because radar charts can be fun and they can be useful. They aren't. What's the term here? They aren't all encompassing and they aren't perfect, but I think they can be quite a helpful, useful tool sometimes. Just to get an idea of what a player is. So let me do that for you. So I want radars, please. For wingers, I'd like Semenyo, please. And I'm going to compare. Oh, Semenyo, isn't it, in this database? There we go. And is that? Yeah, okay. So, 1 second. There we go. Semenyo or Nobbins, hello. Let me end that poll just to see what was the final say. So 55 yes, 40% no. So that's tight. That is tight, man. And this is just to reiterate, because again, I've seen it going around that it would just be a straight 1 in, 1 out. And I don't know if it would be because of how different I feel like they are as players. So the red is Savio. This is from this season, by the way. The red is Savio and the blue is Semenyo. I'll repeat. Radar charts are just there to be like a helpful first start. And that's all. Like, you shouldn't read too much into them. It can be a helpful visual aid to get an idea what the player is. But what this basically tells us is that Savio is what we already know. Savio is far more of a creator than a goal scorer. Semenyo is far more of a goal scorer than a creator. So they could actually perhaps balance one another as for profile of player. That could be a really nice thing to happen. That could be a very nice thing to happen. So like Semenyo's in like the top 14% for non-penalty goals, for example. I don't know what he is for XG. That would be interesting to know, non-penalty XG. And I guess if you have a look at the non-penalty XG plus expected assists, I think Spartacus noted this, they are very, very similar. So they basically balance one another out. So Savio's creativity balances out, is almost like level 2, if not superior to, Semenyo's goal scoring and finishing. So that's also something to note. I don't think this would spell the end of Savio. This is based off what I understand from the club, but this is also what I am predicting based off how Pep's been using our players this season and the comments he's been making about them as well. Bob's radar. Well, Bob's, I'm not sure. Again, it's only a radar, but it's not particularly. And this is, he's struggled with injuries and whatnot, but it's not. We know that he's not been especially good this season. So the blue is Semenyo, the red is Savio, and the yellow is Bob. Again, this is just from this season. Please don't take this as gospel, blah, 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 blah. But we know from this season that Bob hasn't been especially good in front of goal. And we know that he's not been anywhere near the level of Savio creatively as well. But at the same time, I also don't think this is the final form of Bob either. I'm sure that he'll be absolutely fine. Like, he's coming back off a very tricky injury, and it's not the easiest City sides to break into. So I'm sure that he will either do very well at City or he'll do very well at another club. I got no doubt about that. But you could, if you do bring in Semenyo, you can logistically, you can only, by a bare minimum, you can only keep one of Bob or Savio. There's surely no way you can keep them both. Bob, unfortunately, is not going to have a central future at City if Shirky keeps going on the way he's going, and if Bob keeps going on the way he's going, and if Reinders comes back into the side, and if we sign another central player in Anderson, let's say in the summer, I struggle to see Bob's central future at City, because all those players I've listed, they're not exactly old. They're not exactly leaving the club in a couple of years, are they? So I don't think that he's going to have much of a future in attacking midfield unless something drastic does happen, either for form or outgoings or injuries, whatever. So that does mean his competition is out wide. So he is competing with Savio. He would be competing with Semenyo. I guess even though he's barely played off the left, let's say he can play there because we've seen him play there, he'd also be competing with Doku and Marmoush. It feels like Bob is on the lowest of the pecking order. My prediction would be that this would spell the end of Bob, whether in January or the summer, which is a shame because I really, really like Bob and I think he can become a fantastic player. But I feel like this is something that people don't necessarily like to talk about because it can be an uncomfortable conversation. But as we'll get into with Guéhi, we sort of do have to address the practicalities of there are only so many minutes to go round. And it's all well and good saying that, well, this player offers something different to this player and blah, 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 of course. But there are only so many games in a season and there are only so many big games in a season as well. That's the key, isn't it? Because Alvarez got loads of minutes in his last season with City. I think he was like second most for outfield players or something. I think only behind, or maybe third, behind like Foden and Rodri. So he got loads of minutes. It wasn't a minutes problem. It was, okay, what games am I starting in? And where am I actually playing? Am I actually playing in the best position? So we know it's not as straightforward as just, can you get to a certain target of minutes? It's also to do with starts. It's also to do with the importance of those games. And it's to do with the competition. And it's also to do with the position that they're playing in as well. That's what I mean, Fenway. Yeah, so it's not just about minutes. It's about like what position you are being in and the level of those games. Because I'm sure that Alvarez also basically alluded to, whether he said it or it was alluded by Pep, that he wants to play more important games and play more important games in the biggest moments in his actual position. But we know that can't necessarily happen. AFCON and Ghana are not at AFCON, so that could be a thing as well. My prediction would be Bob would go. Because when was the last time we actually saw Bob? Now, there may well be things going on behind the scenes that I'm unaware of course. But was the last Bob game the Leverkusen game? And was that the game where Pep basically said, we didn't try? By try, I mean like, and then he clarified. And to be fair, we did conclude that by try, he meant like in the final third, we weren't being direct in our actions. When was the last game that he played? It's a shame because he's got a sick chant, hasn't he? Oscar Bob, 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 Oscar Bob. Yeah, Bayer Leverkusen was his last game that he played, and he was taken off. Yeah, he was taken off at half time as well, and I don't think he featured in the next squad. At least one squad. Was he on the bench against Palace? I feel like he was. He was on the bench against Palace. Okay, so he's back in the squad, so that's the thing. But Savio came on against Madrid, and Savio came on against Palace, and Pep's made certain statements about Savio which would suggest that he's here for the longer term, and he was obviously offered a new contract. That would suggest he's here for the longer term. Maybe, yeah, you guys are saying a loan. Maybe he'll be a loan in January and we'll play it by ear. I would suggest that the Semenyo signing 100% spells the end for either Bob or Savio. I'd guess Bob. And I'd probably add Marmoush into that as well, because if we're saying that the whole point of him is to be like a versatile forward who's also a shooter, I thought that was going to be the USP of Marmoush, but perhaps not. We shall see. But Marmoush doesn't strike me as a player who's going to be happy to wait around. He strikes me as a player who's like, I should be playing football now. I should be starting now. My quality demands it. And whether we believe that or not, if he believes it, ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we just don't sign Semenyo and it all works out with the players we have. Who knows? But my prediction would be that. So that's Bob and Semenyo and Savio and Doku and all that good stuff. But I want to talk about Guéhi now, but I'm just going to come to the chat just to see what you guys were saying, just in case there's anything else that we would like to chat about. Fireborn says Marmoush is being kept for his AFCON adventure. Once he's back, he'll feature regularly. We all don't know, says Sean. Yeah, who does know, Sean? Who does know? Yeah, Savio's creative numbers. Look, people clown on Savio, but there's no doubt that his creative numbers are obscene. We know that we'd love to see him add better shooting to his game. He's a young, inexperienced player. Hopefully that does come with time. But at the end of the day, he is right now still one of the best creators in the squad. I think that's fair to say. That is fair to say. Yeah, guys, leave a like on the video. It's free. A weird season for rotational lack of it from Pep, says Punch a Bicycle. And I wonder if it's because he doesn't quite trust a lot of his bench. Why is my stream so dark? I don't think it's dark. I've got my lights on. Bob needs a loan spell. Bob needs regular playing time somewhere to play himself back into fitness. Definitely agree, yeah. Time's not on his side either because he's a young player, RE experience, but he's not a young player who is like a baby. This is like a McAtee situation where, okay, he's young, but he's not young. It's not like he's not like Vitor Hayes levels of young, where he's a teenager, and it's like, yeah, okay, you can't be demanding game time, whatever. He's 20. He's gonna be 23 next season. He's a middle 22. He's born in July, so next season he'll be 23, and he's played 26 Premier League games for City, and most of those, of course, off the bench. I don't know how many starts that would be. I don't know how many starts that because he apparently played in 14 games in 23-24 in the league, but nearly all, I think all of those would surely have been sub appearances. So he may be thinking for his career also, hey, I'm going to be 23 next year. I need to be starting more. Like I've barely had a career. Okay, I play for Norway, lovely, but I've barely had a club career. I'm nearly 23 years old. So it may be what he's thinking also. Slap a buyback on him and ship him. This may well be the best scenario that City can do if Bob's happy with that, and if the buying clubs are happy with that also. This may well be the best solution, to have some sort of buyback just in case he explodes and let's say it doesn't work out with Savio or Semenyo or Doku or whoever. That would definitely be the thing if we can loan Bob up to build up his value. Do I think the Donnarumma sign is one of the reasons Marmoush isn't getting many minutes? I've never really made the correlation, but I guess there's an argument for it. Perhaps. Because he's not an outlet, is he? I don't know if that's... I don't know how much of a reason that is, to be honest. I think the main reason is just because Doku's been fantastic. I can sort of see where you're coming from, though. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I disagree. I'd have to think about that. I think the main reason is just because Doku's been fantastic, though. If we sold Bob in Jan, we'd be selling low. That's why I think a low makes more sense. I think that could be right, Fenway. Yes, maybe a loan in Jan, and then if... We're jumping ahead here, but if what we said may happen does happen, perhaps that is the key. Perhaps that is the key. Is Arsenal squad bigger or is ours bigger? I think that based on numbers, ours is bigger because we still have a bloated squad. We still have a bloated squad, don't we? Like when everyone is fully fit, we have senior players that aren't making the bench. It's not even like it's one. I think it's like 3 or 4 senior players who don't make a Premier League bench if everyone is fully fit. So I can't remember what the homegrown numbers were, but I'm pretty sure we're on the limit. I think we're on the cusp of it. So I assume that we have the bigger squad As for bodies, you can make an argument about whether the quality then it is a thing. But certainly for bodies, I would say. Doc can use as a lifeline for Bob, says Handleship. Perhaps. Perhaps. It depends. It depends how Pep views it. Does he view it as the Palace solution, where he just plays Foden, in which case it's actually a lifeline for Reinders, because now all of a sudden you have to play Reinders in the midfield if you're moving Foden out of the midfield. You have to play Reinders. So Reinders would be licking his lips if it's going to be a Palace situation. Or is it just going to be a Savio left, Bob right? I really hope that's not the case. But that might be best. I don't know. I don't even know. I smell Arsenal blood, says James. Flip says Semenyo link play is not that good. Ability-wise, Semenyo might end up good for a strong physicality, fast, got a decent finish on both feet, but Bournemouth don't play like us, so we don't know how he would fit. Excuse me, yeah. Excuse me. Good player. I don't think he's an elite player. Could perhaps become an elite player. There are lots of things to like about the signing. There are some things to be cautious about the signing as well. He's also got a release clause, and in this day and age, like 60 million quid or whatever it is, in this day and age isn't actually that much for a winger who is Premier League proven, and you know they're going to get you a good amount of output as well. That's a pretty safe investment, essentially. It's not too much of a gamble, so I can understand why we would be looking at that. Yeah, we're going to move on to Guéhi now. Trafford stays in Jan. He's staying with us this season. That's good. I guess he will be gone in the summer, though I would predict. Otherwise, I don't. If he doesn't leave in the summer, then I don't really get what his motivations are, to be honest. But there we go. We shall see. We shall see. More will come on Semenyo if we end up signing him. Obviously, then if we do end up signing him, there will be an analysis video and I'll do more research on it. But I already have a general idea of how it might work. Okay, Guéhi now, because I wanted to start with Guéhi, but Doku getting injured is a thing. So let's touch on Guéhi, and then I also want us to do a Brentford preview. I want us to have a chat about what do we think is the team going to be against Brentford. What are we saying basically for that? Good point, Fenway. So yeah, Guéhi. Very, very similar to Semenyo, in all honesty. There's lots of crossover with what I'm going to say here. Guéhi is, I think, a good player. I don't think he's a great player. He would definitely improve the squad. He is homegrown. He fills a void. There's a lot to like about the signing. It makes a lot of sense in the same way that Semenyo made a lot of sense. The price also makes a lot of sense because he's going to be on a free in the summer. Now, I will say that I think it's probably more... I don't know what the Liverpool situation is, but it seems to me far more likely that Guéhi would go to Liverpool, where he's a bit more likely to be able to compete for a starting spot because Van Dijk is getting on. Konate exists and is Konate, and Guéhi's got far more of a short-term and long-term future of being a starter there. Guéhi's not left-footed, unfortunately. He's right-footed, I'm afraid to say. So, I don't really get why he'd pick... If it is a choice between Liverpool and City, and I don't know if it is, I don't know why he'd pick Liverpool over... Sorry, I don't know why he'd pick City over Liverpool, because short and long term, it just seems to make a lot more sense for him to go there. But let's park that to one side for a second. What would he be at City? Would it be a good signing? What is the impact on that? Yeah, I don't know if he's actually... Because, yeah, this is quite a serious topic. I don't want to accuse him of being homophobic, but... If he is, then that's an L, obviously, and I'd rather we sign pleasant people. And that is a shame if that is indeed the case, of course. But I don't want to jump to conclusions because I don't want to poison the well. You see, So I'm just going to focus this on like the player that he is. But of course, if he is that, then yeah, I wouldn't want him, of course. So yeah, so what is he as a player, sorry, and what might his expectations be? And what might the reality be as well? So Guéhi is a left centre-back primarily for Palace. He's not left-footed. But I think that is... It's a good thing that people think he is left-footed, is what I'm trying to say. Because that goes to show how strong his left foot is, which is good. We know that you don't have to be left-footed to play left centre-back. Like, Van Dijk's left foot is very good. He plays left centre-back. Same with, like, John Terry. He played left centre-back, but he was right-footed. So it goes to show how strong his left foot is, that people actually think he is left-footed. So that's a positive. So he can play left centre-back. He can play right centre-back. Not a problem. I think he can also technically... Has he played right-back for England? I might be misremembering. But either way, he's a versatile centre-back, essentially. You can play him left or right. It's not really a problem for him. He would bring a lot of aggression to City's back line as well. You hopefully saw it in my preview and tactical analysis, where you saw how willing Guéhi was to properly jump onto our attacking narrow players. He was willing to follow them to the halfway line. So he's a very aggressive player in that sense. He's got a good amount of pace. He's very good physically as well. I think he's underrated on the ball. Like, his ball playing ability is actually quite solid. He's not Gvardiol and he's not Stones, but no one is. He's still very, very lovely at that. He is still very lovely at that. So it wouldn't be like a build-up weakness by any means. He wouldn't be a starter for City because he's not... I was thinking about this last night because I'm such a weirdo. It's like when I go to bed, I think about what I'm going to talk about and when I was thinking about Guéhi. As I was in bed. I might be so off on this, but I feel like Guéhi's ceiling has been witnessed. And by that I mean, I don't think that he's going to improve that much as a player. It's impossible to predict ceiling, so I might be well off on that. But my suggestion would be that Guéhi's not going to get that much better than what he is right now. He's going to be 26 next season, so he's more so coming into his physical prime and his physical peak, so perhaps he could get a little bit better, but I don't think there's like necessarily another level to what we have seen. And if that is the case, then he's not starting quality for City. Why am I gay? Because I just love cock. So he's not starting quality for City, is he? Because he's not going to be a Diaz level and he's not going to be a Gvardiol level either, in my opinion. Who knows? Maybe that will change. So I think that if you bring in Guéhi, you're bringing him to be third choice, don't you? You're bringing him to be third choice. That's what it is. He would be a fantastic player to have as a third choice centre-back as well, by the way. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely glorious third choice option because he's the captain and a starter for a very good defensive Premier League side. That's a very good option to have as your third choice centre-back. That's really, really good. Now, my first question is just on the player. Would he be happy with that? Because he would surely have to appreciate that you're not dethroning Ruben Diaz, because people forget how young Ruben Diaz is. Do you guys know that he'll be 29 next year? Only 29. He's 28 right now. He's been here for a million years. But he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, Ruben Diaz will be here until he's like 33, 34, maybe even 35 years old. You're not dethroning Gvardiol, who is left-footed and is better and is much better than you and is younger than you as well. So he's not dethroning either Diaz or Joško. So he would have to basically accept that he is third choice at the absolute highest. I'll repeat, that's very good for City to have a fantastic player as a third choice. doesn't make much sense for him and what his aspirations are, I would say no. That'd be a bit odd. But, you know, maybe he thinks that he can compete with Diaz and Gvardiol. Not going to happen. From a selfish perspective, I think it's a very good signing. It would be a very good signing if it happened, because why wouldn't you want that depth? Here's the question that I posed on Twitter, and I think some people misinterpreted it when I ask these questions. In the same way that when we did that stream on Semenyo, and I was asking the question of what does this mean for Bob, Savio, Marmouche? In the same way that when we signed Donnarumma and I brought up the question of, okay, what does it mean for Trafford? I think people get the wrong end of the stick here. I don't necessarily care about, and that sounds really mean, I don't necessarily care about what it means for the players impacted. I'm not saying whether it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But, indeed, Fenway. But there is no doubt it is a thing. If you bring in Guéhi, then what does that mean for... Then, of course, that means there's a knock-on effect for all of our other centre-backs, doesn't it? Certainly the ones equal to or below him anyway. So when I posed the question on Twitter of, I wonder what this means for Kusanov, particularly given the fact that Hayes is going to be potentially coming in 2027. We still have Barr out on loan. We have Mafuni in the academy as well. What does it mean for all of those players is simply the question that I was posing. And again, people interpreted that as, I don't want the signing and I think it would be bad and City aren't allowed depth. That's not what I was saying at all. I was just asking the question. Answer. I think it basically means that you can say goodbye to Kusanov in the medium term, in the medium to long term. I think that he's basically gone. He would probably stick around for a year. Because let's say you sign Guéhi. I don't know what the timeline would be. For argument's sake, let's say that in the summer, both Stones and Ake are gone. They're both gone. Okay? So now we have Diaz, Gvardiol, Kusanov, who are at the club right now. And out on loan, we have Barr, who lots of people... I've not seen enough of Barr, but people aren't... I mean, the way City are moving doesn't look... It's not a show of confidence in the idea that they're going to be playing for us, is it? It's like a JSP thing all over again. Barr, Hayes, and we've got Mafuni in the academy as well. So yeah, so you absolutely do need like 4 players at least who can play at centre-back. Obviously, there's no doubt about that. And I'm not saying... But the dynamic does change if you sign a player like Guéhi, because he would not be coming in to... like fight for a place with Kusanov and Hayes. Now he's coming to, I mean, if he did come to, in his head anyway, try to fight with Diaz or try to fight with Gvardiol, he'd fail, but that would be the idea, wouldn't it? So that immediately means Guéhi is undisputed, like third choice. If Diaz needs a rest, Guéhi comes in. If Gvardiol needs a rest and Diaz is available, Guéhi comes in. So he's the immediate go-to. So that immediately demotes Kusanov down to 4th choice next season, if he's brought in. And Kusanov is 21, or is he 22? Let me check. He's 21. So he'll be 22 next year, won't he? Yes. So he'll be 22 next year. Now, I can see that dynamic working for a season, because he'll still be 22 years old, and you obviously your main career is still ahead of you at that point, and he'll be getting some game time. But there is no doubt that he would be 4th choice at that point. And I can maybe see him being patient for a year, trying to fight for his place, trying to get in ahead of Guéhi, whatever. Places are at a premium now, when we have Stones and Ake who are forever injured. I would predict that places are going to be at an even greater premium next season if Guéhi were brought in, even if you move on Stones and Ake, because they're always injured anyway. I'd suggest it would actually get even harder for Kusanov. Even if it's 2 out, 1 in, I would still argue that it's going to be harder for Kusanov to try to get some game time. And I can see him putting up with that for a year, but my prediction would be that he would not be willing or content with getting even less game time than what he is right now a year down the line when he's older. And that's even before we bring in Vitor Hayes potentially in 2027. What happens then? Now you've got like 23-year-old Kusanov and you've got 21 Vitor Hayes. The club seemingly very highly regards Vitor Hayes. So if he's sent out on a second loan, and let's say it goes well, and now the club want to integrate Vitor Hayes into the side, then I think that surely spells the end of Kusanov, doesn't it? Surely it does. And we haven't even spoken. I mean, let's even park Bar to one side and say that just doesn't happen. Let's say that we just sell him off for profit, whatever. We haven't even spoken about Mifune, who's incredibly highly regarded, and by that point he would be what the age Vitor Hayes is now, so maybe that's the time where you want to give him like a couple minutes every now and then. So in sum, I think if you sign Guéhi, you're basically saying goodbye to Kusanov. That would be my prediction there as well. Making a lot of predictions in this stream. I can't see how else it works. And what's interesting is that when I said that on Twitter, lots of people said, but Nobbins. I think, and this is a fair thing to say. They said, okay, but at one point we had Company, and we had Otamendi, and we had Laporte, and we had Stones, all in the same squads, all at once, and that wasn't a problem there. So, and they're all like far more senior players than like the players that we have right now, and far superior players. So why is it a problem? Why isn't it not just like an equivalent? Why is it not the same? The problem with that comparison is that it sort of proves my point. They only coexisted for 1.5 seasons, and across that very small period of time, Vincent Kompany hardly played because he was injured all the time in that 1.5 year period. It wasn't until like the back end of 2019 that Kompany started to get some like proper minutes together. And like people forget that our Centurion partnership, our main centre-back Centurion partnership, did not feature Vincent Kompany. It had Otamendi in it. He was the main lad back there. And in 18-19, the main lad was Laporte. It wasn't Kompany. So I don't think the comparison is accurate based on that. But basically, nearly every single like pairing of like, well, it's not pairing, is it? Because it's four. But you know, like a foursome. If you say, okay, but these four coexisted together, and my retort to that would be, well, first of all, were there any significant injuries? And secondly, how long do they coexist for? Because if the counter to that is, okay, well, what about when we had Stones, Ake, Gvardiol, and Diaz? Well, we're seeing right now that Stones and Ake are leaving. Like, Ake literally has come out via his national team manager saying he needs to play more football. I don't see the long-term viability of it, especially when you add a potentially exciting Vitor Hayes to the equation, a player who seems very highly regarded by the club and who we may want to bring in. So that's going to be, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm just saying it's a thing, because once again, people misinterpreted what I was saying. If you bring in Guéhi, I think you say goodbye to Kusanov, essentially. So if you want to bring in Guéhi, that's nice. Just make sure that you're happy with Kusanov going the other way. And whether it's in the summer of 2026 or whether it's in the summer of 2027. I don't see how he has a long-term future at City with all of Gvardiol, Ruben Diaz and Guéhi, who are all young themselves in relative terms. I don't see how he makes a career for himself here. I can live with that, personally. I know lots of City fans can't. I know Kusanov is very popular. I just wanted to bring that as a thought experiment. See what I mean? What do you guys think, though? What do you guys think? I like Kusanov, by the way. Guéhi is a better player, though. So there we go. Leo, I'm not stressed because I don't mind. You know, it sounds mean, but if Guéhi comes in, that means Kusanov's career's over. At the end of the day, I don't care. That sounds very mean and very harsh, but I don't really mind. It's a shame for him, but on an individual level, I don't really care. I don't rate Guéhi, says Cam's. Decent player at best, but not anything special. have written off the possibility Bar will ever play regular minutes for City. It seems to be the case, doesn't it? Would you not rather keep Kusanov than Hayes and Bar? Well, I remember being asked the question when we first signed all of these centre-backs, and the question was, like Nobbins, which centre-back do you think is going to be the best centre-back 5 years down the line? And I said Hayes. So based on past Nobbins, I'm going to say that I would probably rather back Hayes. That's based on my past prediction. Guéhi makes no sense. Trust Kusanov and Hayes to pick up. It make now sense when City want Guéhi. Kusanov is a soldier. He is. There's no doubt about that. I'd rather roll with Kusanov, Hayes, and a left-footed centre-back in the summer with both Ake and Stones out. Kusanov will play full-back. I hope not. He's not a right-back. Imagine selling Xavi for 50 and splashing 100 plus on Elise. Sounds crazy, but imagine Bayern wouldn't sell him. Yeah, Kusanov's not a full-back. We don't even have to have the conversation about, like, is he competent defensively at full-back? Because I've made my thoughts on that clear. We can simplify the conversation. Kusanov does not put that ball in that Nunes does against Palace, and Kusanov does not offer even a modicum of the offensive threat and force that Nunes has showcased. We need a right-back for right-back, I believe, especially if you want Cherki to succeed at this club. We need a right-back at right-back. I think we've moved past the period where we had centre-backs at right-back. That was the right system at the right time, but that's it. But that's it. But Refresh, it's a question about minutes, isn't it? So we have to think about what are Kusanov's motivations. Is he happy being fourth choice next season? Let's say it happens in the summer, because this is the starting point of the whole thought experiment. Is he happy with being fourth choice and barely getting any game time next year for a whole season? He's not playing ahead of Gvardiol or Diaz or Guéhi. And it's not like it's going to be, okay, we'll just rotate them all the time. We know that Gvardiol is going to play like 30 minutes in the league, bar injury. And we know that Diaz would play like high 20s or 30 games in the league, bar injury. So would he be happy in the short term? Okay, fine. Maybe a year off. Maybe a season. He can accept that. Diaz ain't going anywhere. He's only 30 years old the year after that, and he's the oldest of them all. So Diaz ain't going anywhere. He'll still be first choice. Is he going to be happy being fourth choice again? And what about the year after that, when Diaz is only 31? Is he going to be happy being a fourth choice the season after that? I would suspect no. If he is happy, brilliant. And then what happens when Vitor Hayes is involved as well? And we try to integrate him? Is he going to be happy with that? You've definitely either got to say goodbye to one of Hayes or Kusanov 100%. There's no doubt about that. Because you can't have 5 who like all want to be playing first team football. So it's at least one. Well, no, it's at least 2 because of Bar as well. And we haven't even spoken about Mifune. What would I do in the medium term? This is the problem, Fenway. I don't know. This is something that I've been really struggling with, and I don't know what the answer is. Here is my ideal scenario for you. Here is my ideal scenario. And this isn't going to happen. Stones and Ake stay this season. Stones leaves on a free in the summer. We convince Ake to hang around for a year. I don't know how you do that, and I don't think that's possible, but I'm in dreamland scenario here. This now means that you have 4 centre-backs in Diaz, Gvardiol, Kusanov, Ake. You promote Kusanov to third choice. Kusanov gets a lot more game time now, left centre-back and right centre-back. Vitor Hayes goes out on another loan. 2027 comes around, so Vitor Hayes has had 2 seasons out. Ake's contract expires naturally. We bring in Vitor Hayes, and at that point you make a judgment call on Kusanov, because now he's had enough time to prove himself. Is he good enough to step up and potentially take over from Diaz longer term and be the third choice in the short term? Yes, he is. Keep him. If not, move him on, bring in another player. And now Vitor Hayes is more of your, like, quote, project centre-back who's had 2 years to illustrate that he can be that guy, and he can be a longer-term player because he'll only be 21 by that point. He doesn't desperately need to play all the time. That's my dream scenario in the medium term. I accept that is impossible and won't happen. but I don't know what else we can do without it massively being a huge obstacle to at least 2, maybe even 3. No, yeah, it would be. It's at least 3, maybe even 4 centre backs at City right now, because it's definitely Barr, it's definitely Mafuni, and it's definitely one of Kusanov and Hayes. It's at least 3. It might even be 4. So yeah, that's the dream in my head, just because of the timelines. But I don't think that's reasonable or viable, which is a shame. Because what I've heard about Vitor Hayes is he needs another season out. So there we go. That's my dream, but I don't think that will ever happen. Based on that, that's the one that's the dream. That's the scenario that has the least amount of disruption to our centre backs who we think could become really good in like 3 years' time, or whatever timeline we believe. It's just unfortunate that Vitor Hayes does probably need that extra season out on loan, and we're going to have to do something if Ake and Stones leave. We have to sign someone. And if you sign someone who's, quote, almost too good in a Guéhi, then I think you are basically condemning Kusanov to not have a future here, or Hayes, or both. Yes, we have been live for over an hour, actually. So it's a tricky one, and I don't know what the answer is, and I'd love to say I know what the answer is, but I do not. All's fair in love and war and football, and at the end of the day, it's dog eat dog, and it's a bug eat bug world out there, and it's survival of the fittest, and you sink or swim at this level, and that's harsh, and we know that. But that is the state of play. Anything else that we want to say about the centre-back situation before we move on to trying to preview the Brentford game? Because I want us to try to come up with a team that we're, like, sort of happy with. But let me know if, like, there's any other comments or questions or thoughts on the centre-back situation. Did I see the Pedro Porro links? No, I've not. I've not seen that. Guéhi's 4 years older, Kusanova's time. Does he, though? Does he, though? Diaz is 29 next year. And that's the first player you'd think that would be, like, leaving RE age. So Diaz is going to be here for probably another 4 years. Like, maybe even longer. But let's say because he strikes me as a defender who, because he's never been that quick anyway. So he doesn't strike me as a defender who's going to go off a cliff when his, quote, legs give up. Like when he goes into like his mid-30s. He could still be playing football at the elite level, like 33, 34. So that's 5 years. If it's 34, and it's 4 if it's 33, that's still 4 years. Is Kusanov going to hang around for 4 years? I seriously think that's pie in the sky dreaming there. I do not think that is tenable, because Kusanov's going to be 25 by that point, and he'd be 4th choice for 3 or 4 years, barely playing any football, so not developing as a player, not getting match experience. I don't think he can wait. Unless there's something obvious I'm missing. If you can't play DM, I'm not interested, says Nico. Who Guéhi? Well, yeah, he's definitely gone. Should we care about the EFL Cup? We should try to win it. Kusanov is not leaving. His traits are too valuable. You better hope we don't sign Guéhi then, I would suggest. Play my boy Phillips as centre-back. Chill. Nunes is ass. I mean, he's been quite good recently. He's also our only good attacking right-back option. Well, he's our only attacking right-back option. Pep is trolling us. Kusanov will leave to a big club, please. People do not remember that he was wanted by a lot of clubs when City signed him. Bringing in Guéhi while losing 2 centre-backs would not displace Kusanov, rather give us a reliable backup. But what happens in 26-27 when he's still 4th choice? And what happens in 27, 28 when he's still fourth choice? And maybe Vitor Hayes is trying to be incorporated into the squad. And what happens in 28, 29 when he's still fourth choice and maybe even fifth if Vitor Hayes comes in and impresses? Because Vitor Hayes by that point would be what? 23, 22, 23, something like that. Is he going to be sticking around being fourth choice? I'd be very surprised if that were his ambition. Is it guaranteed Diaz would be around then? I would suggest so. Diaz is 28 years old. Hasn't he just signed a contract recently as well? He doesn't seem to be slowing down. He's gotten a lot better this season. Diaz is 28 years old. And he has a contract until 2029. So why do you not see him after 2 seasons though? He'd only be 31. So he's got a contract until 2029. So he's going to be here until 33. I just don't. I don't see why would Diaz be gone 2 years down the line when he's 30. That seems very young to, and also it's nowhere near his contract expiring either. I don't know why we'd be moving him on. He's been absolutely fantastic. I think he's been our best defender this season. So based on that, I don't think it's reasonable to say that he's going to be leaving in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I would even go further than that. I think he'll be here in 4 or 5 years. Oh, sorry, Musty. I meant I think he's been our best defender. Oh, sorry, was that what you were saying? This is Ruben's best season, second best. Yeah. I would agree with that. Toby, shut up, mate. Yeah, I just don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something massively, but he was literally given a contract 4 months ago to be here until 2029. That does not strike me as a player who won't be here in 2 years. That strikes me as a player who is here for the long haul. And I'll repeat, because people forget that we signed him when he was like 23 or 24 years old. Diaz is 28 years old. He's been here and he feels like an old defender. He ain't going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere. Those are my thoughts on the centre-backs. I don't even... In sum, this may have been a pointless conversation. I don't think it's pointless. I still think it's interesting. I actually don't think we'll get Guéhi. I think he'll go to Liverpool. Makes way more sense for him to go to Liverpool than to come to us. But if we did sign him in a vacuum, amazing signing. Like, properly amazing signing. And I'd be very happy about it in isolation. Lads, shall we have a chat and try to... Don't worry about the fact it's Crystal Palace. Like, allow it. In fact, let me just change that real quick. I can't change the names, so you'll have to imagine that Mateta plays for Brentford, yes? But, I mean, you guys have an imagination. You can do it. I know you guys can do it. Let me just name them Brentford as well to really sell the effect. Right. There we go. Look, guys, it's Brentford in their 5-2-3 with Nathaniel Klein at right wing back. Oh, yeah. Right. So, do I have an imagination? You're damn right I do, yeah? You're damn right. Okay. I know, I saw, I liked that on Twitter. I saw that Edison comp and I was like, oh my God. Like, I need that. My team sort of needs that. I was so upset. Right. Right, Man City. This is going to be tricky. So let's first of all just like move all the players. And let's see. I'm going to move all the starters over here. So on the right, we had all the players who started against Palace. Let's first of all have a look at the players who we are like... Yeah, big up to Lego, man. Let's have a look at all the players that we feel have to start. Like, they need minutes. If they don't get minutes, they're going to, like, spiral, essentially. It's a cup game, so Trafford's obviously starting. He's a player who's obviously going to start. Like, I'd be mad. I'd be mad, surely, if he didn't start. Okay? Annoyingly, this would be a great game for Aït-Nouri to play. And it would be a great game for Marmoush to play. But they've gone. So obviously they can't play. So I'm going to add them to the Stones, Kova, Rodri pile, and sadly the Doku pile as well. All of a sudden, we've doubled the amount of players that aren't available in the course of like a day or two. It was just Stones, Kova, Rodri. Now it's Stones, Kova, Rodri, Doku, Aït-Nouri, Marmoush. The squad's gone a lot smaller all of a sudden. Okay. Players who we think must play. Kusanov surely has to play. Savio surely has to play. Ake surely has to play. Lewis surely has to play. And Bob surely has to play. Maybe even Mikasa or an academy player. Just realised I've not put them here. Maybe I can fill them in. Does anyone disagree that we aren't going to see these 5 players? Calvin Phillips, chill. Don, hello. Trafford, the cup goalkeeper. I haven't got the children on the screen. We're just dealing with... Because before we can even deal with the children, we have to look at the senior players. The senior players are going to need minutes. And these are the senior players who didn't start the Palace game and are actually available. So I haven't included Aït-Nouri, Marmoush, Rodri, Doku, Stones, Kova for obvious reasons. Kusanov striker, yes. Oh, yeah, with Ake in behind... Bob left centre-back. Lewis marauding libero, yeah. Savio left-back. Bop. Easy mode. We only need 5 outfield players. Smashed it. Kisano's going to play and Ake's going to play. If they don't, then I'd be very confused if they don't play. That's a big risk because you're changing your centre-half partnership, but, I mean, these lads need to play, don't they? Does anyone think Diaz... in fact, I'll ask that question. Does anyone here think Diaz and Gvardiol will start? Because they may well do. They may well do that. Play the Don up front, big man, little man. We can't even do a Leverkusen because we've only got 5 outfield players to do that anyway. I think Diaz starts as Fireborn. Well, I was thinking, do City go for a cheeky Ake left-back vibe and give O'Reilly a rest? Do you do this? Do you have a cheeky little Ake left-back situation, maybe? What do you reckon, guys? Bloody hope not, says Toby. I don't know. Yoshko and Ruben need more of a rest. They do, but will he make that many changes? Because we're trying to predict it. Yeah, this is Brentford, Toby. We're just trying to predict it. And it's the League Cup, so there has to be some rotation. I just don't know how much we're going to do. I just don't know. I'd guess that Nunes is going to start and Lewis goes into midfield. That's a prediction that I've made there. That's a prediction. Recall JSP, shush. Ake left back is not bad, says Eugene. Pepper's argued O'Reilly's young, which I don't buy. Rubens is animal and can play. Wilson Esperin shuts up. What do we reckon? Ortega in midfield. I don't think there's an easy way to predict this, so I might go for that. I can't see him benching both, even though I would like him to, because it's Brentford at home. I don't know if he will bench both Diaz and Gvardiol. I don't know if he'll be happy with a totally new centre-half partnership. That sounds stupid because you only need to change one to change a partnership, but you know what I mean. I don't think that he'll start both Ake and Kusanov at centre-back. It may well be Kusanov right-back, and then O'Reilly plays instead. I don't know. I've got a feeling we're going to see a centre-back at full-back is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to predict that. There's another reason why I'm going to predict that, because unfortunately, I'm going to predict Savio to play left wing, which is a shame. But having a centre-back who doesn't really care that much at overlapping would make a lot more sense if it was Savio there, because he can just hold the width on his own. Easier. So I might be predicting Savio to play off the left. And yeah, boo. You can boo me, and I'm booing me as well. I don't want that, guys. I don't want that. But I'm trying to... I'm trying to see, like, how is the squad going to shape up with the amount of rotation? Shut up, Spartacus. I think Savio... Look, I wanted to be Savio right wing, yeah? But who are you playing left? Are you playing Bob left wing? You can't play Doku. Heskey left wing. Are we gonna play an academy player? I don't know if we are. The Doku left wing. Shut up. This is like Foden could play there, but we want to give him a rest, surely. Unfortunately, guys, I know it's not popular, but I'm gonna predict it. I'm going to predict that Savio plays right wing. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to predict Lewis to play right central midfield, and I might be predicting Bob to play right wing, and I might do... And I don't know if I'm going to predict... Am I going to predict him to rest Haaland? I don't think Haaland started the League Cup game yet, has he? I'm debating whether it's going to be Mukasa or Haaland. Depends how serious he cares. Do you think Mukasa definitely starts? Okay. We'll put in Mukasa then. There you go. We'll give Haaland a rest. Big up Spartacus. Okay, this is Mukasa then. Yeah? Fine. I think that's the same front three that we saw against Huddersfield in the League Cup, so I guess that makes sense. Let's run that. Now we can only look to either academy players or senior players. He was not willing to, like, start a baby outside of Mukasa in the Huddersfield game. What are the chances he's going to play a baby in a quarter-final against Brentford? I would suggest very unlikely. Now, it could happen. Stranger things have happened. But I'm going to predict that Mukasa is the only baby that plays. And that we don't see Mafuni start. And we don't see the Heskies start, etc. Reinders is 100% playing. The question just becomes this. Do you risk this game and give Nico a rest? In which case you play Reinders as the defensive midfielder? Or do you not risk that and you squeeze more life out of Nico? Those are the two options, I feel like. It's either got to be Nico starting because he's the only defensive midfielder, or do you play Reinders in defensive midfield? Sadly, we have to pick our poison here. Those are the only two options that I can foresee. You either play Reinders at defensive midfield, which isn't his position, or you play Nico in defensive midfield, who needs a rest. So you've got to pick your poison. I might be tempted to predict Reinders because he did play there in the Club World Cup, and he did play there against Villa when Nico wasn't able to start. Nico does need a rest. I would love it. I'd love Reinders to succeed here. There's no doubt in my mind that the likelihood of winning this game significantly decreases if we do play Reinders there. But it's tricky. We're without Kovacic. We're without Rodri. Nico's being played into the ground. I do think it probably does have to be Reinders who goes there. That's the thing as well, Bucks bases, isn't it? Book bases, sorry. Don't want to lose that momentum in it. I'd be surprised if I wouldn't actually no, I wouldn't be surprised if Nico started. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Didn't he start him against Huddersfield? So that could absolutely happen. If we're saying Nico plays and that finishes the team, and you just move Reinders up front, forward, sorry, or you play Reinders there, and now who do you play here? It's one of Foden or Bernardo, isn't it? Who, unfortunately, also could both do with having some time off and having a rest. I don't know what the answer is there. Or Nunes midfield. I mean, it could be, but I don't think that Pep's going to play Nunes in midfield. I think Phillips can, like, technically play, but I'm not being funny. Reinders at 6 would be better than Phillips, who hasn't played a second. Yanko wants to play Nico. This is what I mean. I don't think there's an easy answer. You either play, like, this midfield, which is incredibly lightweight, and Foden needs a rest. You play this midfield, which is incredibly lightweight, and Bernardo needs a rest. Or you play this midfield, which isn't ideal, but is far stronger off ball, but Nico desperately needs a rest. I don't think there's a correct answer here. It's all there's a piece of shit in every single one of these meals. Oh, O'Reilly. That's a good point. Yeah, I've totally forgot. Oh. Thinking emoji. What do you reckon? Big up to whoever suggested that. I like that. I've just been used to O'Reilly playing as a left back. I totally forgot that he's technically a midfielder. O'Reilly needs a rest. You're not, annoyingly, you're not wrong. I don't like Reinders as a 6 either, but if we're saying we want to rest Nico, then this is our only option. I'd rather play Lewis Reinders as a pivot and Shirky in the 10, says Fenway. I don't think that Shirky's going to play off ball in the centre. How would that look? So, it depends what press you go for. O'Reilly and Mukasa leading the press, my goats. No. No, that wouldn't be it, would it? Yes, it would. Yes, it would. If we press in our diamonds, that's what it would look like. Stones is still injured, isn't he? Do a pivot of O'Reilly and Reinders with Lewis as an 8-10 hybrid, says Fireborn. Yeah, this if we're doing our diamonds, this would be the thing. This would be the thing. I'd be very surprised if Mifune started Mario just because he didn't even play him against Huddersfield or the other League Cup game. Yeah, Stones is injured. Mukasa. Oh, you think Mukasa in midfield? I want to give Foden a rest though. I don't know. Something's telling me that this might be a fun team. Probably loses, but could be fun. Could be fun. Could be a thing. You can have a far more conservative midfield. It's not a problem. You could run a cheeky 4-4-2, actually. Maybe that's the play. Oh my god. Fucking Lewis as my pressing striker. That'd be kind of cute. 4-4-2, question mark? Lewis Mukasa? Solid defensively. Oh, gosh. Heskey's not going to be starting, Mario. It's a quarter-final in the League Cup. If these players didn't start in an earlier game against easier opposition, I'm not going to predict them to start in a later cup game against far trickier opposition. I don't think that would be a wise prediction for me to make, so I'm not going to make that prediction and like predict a load of children to play. There are some players who just need to play. Reinders, Bob, Savio, Lewis, Kusanov, Ake. I think all of those players have to play. It's about trying to build a team around them. You get me. Kusanov plays left centre-back over Diaz. If you want to play a back three, and we'd have to play a back three if you want Ake in the side, you can't have Diaz right centre-back, and let me show you why. Let me show you why. This turns into the off-ball shape. On-ball shape, sorry. If you're doing the 3-1, which is what we've been doing. This is why you need Diaz left centre-back if you're playing what I've predicted here. Because if you have Kusanov left centre-back, all of a sudden, look who is my wide centre-back. And that can't happen. Diaz has to be central in a 3. Absolutely he does. Therefore, he has to play left centre-back on off-ball, sorry. If you want to play like this. Which is the shape that we have been doing recently, so... I think this is an interesting team. It's not great. It's not ideal. Things could change, of course. Maybe we'll go stronger. Maybe Bob won't play again, and you play Shirky. Maybe Mukasa doesn't get a game, and you play Bob false 9. Maybe you do that, or maybe you play Foden instead of O'Reilly, and you go even stronger. But there's got to be a degree of rotation for a League Cup game. We've got to trust the squad to an extent at some point. Otherwise, like we're gonna have a bad time. Shirky where Mukasa is and Mukasa where O'Reilly is. So like Mukasa here. That could work. That could work. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just it's a big ask of Mukasa, who's never played in midfield for a senior City side. That's all. Because if you're playing him as a false 9, at least he can play as like a striker out of possession. If you play him not as a false 9, that team is very tiny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there in all honesty, but I just don't think it's reasonable to predict like, okay, Heskey will start, Mifuni will start, and Mukasa will start. Stranger things have happened. Marmouche is at AFCON, unfortunately. Stranger things have happened. Who knows? But I'd be shocked if we just play a load of babies straight from the off. We'll see though. We know what Brentford are, of course. We've played them this season. We just about beat them. Second half wasn't good. That was at their ground, in fairness. Who scored that day? Why did we win 1-0? Who scored? Was it Haaland? It must have been Haaland, mustn't it? But either way, Nobbins at right back. Put me a left back and I'll do it. I'll put a shift in, yeah? Yeah, it's a League Cup game, so it's not the end of the world if we don't win it. It's not the end of the world. But I would like to win it. I would like us to win it. I don't even know who else is in the competition. I feel like it's a lot of big teams. Cardiff and Chelsea play tonight, apparently. Okay, so Chelsea will win that one. Newcastle, Fulham. Where's the other game? Hello? Why can't I see the other game? Surely there's 4 fixtures. Am I being stupid? Where is it? I'm sure Arsenal are still in it. Don't Arsenal play Brighton or something? Tuesday, the 23rd of December? Why are they playing on the 23rd of December? Is it because of the Conference League? Because of Palace or something? That's just weird. So all of our games, so 3 of the 4 quarterfinals are happening this week, and then Arsenal Palace is just happening next week. I mean, it must be because of fixture congestion, I'd guess. It's not Arsenal Brighton, by the way. That's my bad. It's Arsenal Palace, but it's at the Emirates. So the semis are probably going to be Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, and then whoever wins from ours, you would assume. Hey, my vocal coach says that I have, and I can confirm, I've got a very, very wide creative range. Creative range? I was in football mode there. I've got a very high vocal range. I can go very low and I can go very high. I can do like Bee Gees type stuff if I really want to. Yeah, I've got a mad range in fairness. So yeah, I can hit that easily. Easy mode. It's probably going to be Arsenal, Newcastle, City, Chelsea if it goes to form. So it is all the big boys left in it. So unfortunately, all of the easy fixtures are gone now. It would have been nice if we could have got Cardiff at home, you know, or Fulham at home. I think that might have been even nicer than Brentford, but there we go. Of course, I can go very high. Hello? Hello? I was going to do something then, but no. Can I sing? Well, I can go... What's the term? Where is it falsetto? That's the one. I mean, I can do like a little respect. You know, I'm not gonna do it now, but you know, the give a little respect to me, but higher, like 2 octaves higher or whatever. I can do that. Okay, just because you said that, I'm gonna sing now. I'm not. That's a lie. But there we go. There will be a watch along, obviously, of the Brentford game tomorrow. So be there for that. But there's also going to be another stream tonight. There's going to be another stream tonight. We are going to be live on Twitch from around 7 p.m. English time tonight, doing Football Manager with Cork City. We're going to be ending the season as well, by the way. We're somehow in a title race. We might actually win the title. So if you want to come and support your boy and see if Cork City can actually win the title, then click that link. Join tonight. There's no interesting football going on. Like you're not watching Cardiff Chelsea in the League Cup. You're not watching Truro City versus Wealdstone in the National League, are you? So come over to the Twitch tonight. Cork City, LNobbins, Manager of the Month for whatever the most recent month was as well. We've got all of the children, all of the time. We've got a Cork Phil Foden as well, by the way. I can't remember what he's called, but we've got the Cork version of Phil Foden. He's like 16 years old from the academy. I've immediately popped him in at number 10 because I'm that guy. I'm not getting sacked if I don't win the league, chill, because all the board wanted me to do was not get relegated. So you can hold your horses. Yeah, hold your horses. So join me for that on the Twitch. What am I doing? I'm playing them. I've got a 16-year-old in net. What formation? Sadly, Phoenix, I've had to go meta, and it's a 4-2-3-1 gegenpress. That's what we do. I tried to start the season with treble tactics, but unfortunately, I couldn't get my Cork City centre-back to be John Stones, and we nearly got relegated, so it wasn't ideal. It wasn't ideal. Big up to all of my beautiful, gorgeous supporters of the Patreon and the YouTube membership. Those names are coming on your screen right now. We are on the road to 100 paid supporters of the channel. If you would like to get involved in the Hall of Fame and get access to exclusive member... In fact, I think the next exclusive member video is going to be a Guéhi data report and scout report analysis. So if you want to sign up to the membership so you can get access to that and many other lovely live perks, click that join button or click the link that the pinned comment has given you. It's only £3 a month. So hopefully I've tried to make it as affordable but also reasonable for me as possible. Thank you so much. I'll see you later tonight on the Twitch for some Cork City. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll catch you all tonight on Twitch and tomorrow for Brentford. Goodbye. 7 p.m. English time. Goodbye, guys.